Next up, we're excited to welcome JoHanna Symons. JoHanna was raised on a cattle ranch right here in Madras. In 2007, she and her husband Jeremy launched Symons Livestock by purchasing 300 acres and a 4,500 head feed yard. With no prior feedlot experience, they learned as they went, all while raising their children and building a successful business through hard work and determination. In 2013, they expanded by adding 800 acres to grow their own cattle feed. When their irrigation was cut off in 2016, they responded by founding Perfect Balance USA, a nonprofit focused on sustainable agriculture and education. And now they are working toward a fully integrated beef operation that includes a new harvest and processing facility to bring high-quality, locally raised beef to Central Oregon. Welcome, JoHanna.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. I'm not a public speaker, so this is going to be interesting. I'll try not to sound like an auctioneer. I only have 5 minutes, thankfully. Again, my name is JoHanna Symons. I'm married to Jeremy Symons. We were both born and raised right here in Madras, Oregon. We have 3 kids, a farm, a feedlot, a cow-calf operation. Our cows and calves run between Madras and Prineville, Madras and Redmond, right and left-hand side of the highways. We run them on a lot of Forest Service and BLM land, thankfully. So our goal has always been to be totally vertically integrated. The beef processing plant finalizes us being completely vertically integrated. The commodity market has very sliver-thin profit margins, so vertical integration helps the bottom line. But more importantly, it gives us total control over our beef products by owning every sector of the market, so we know what's going on people's plates. So quality is important to consumers, as well as knowing how the beef was raised and cared for and harvested. So with vertical integration, we'll have control over everything. Our current operations are very risky, just trying to keep cattle alive and healthy every day. I love my job. I'm thankful to be able to do it, but it's very risky. So the only sector that we don't currently own is the beef processing plant, and they only own the animal for a few hours, and they actually get to turn it into meat. So why are other people not building beef processing plants is probably the question you guys have. They're very high risk because of major upfront costs. Everything is very expensive, equipment, the building, the cost of cattle to supply it. It can take several years to have a return on your investment. And to even start something of this magnitude, you have to have substantial equity backing you up. We've been in the cattle business our whole lives, and as a married couple, we've been in it for 25 years growing our business. Having the supply of cattle to process each day through the plant and staying consistent is also very crucial. The reason we designed the plant to be the size that it is because it will accommodate this area and the surrounding area with cattle supply. Our design and layout is very specific for cattle that will be available in Oregon and across the West Coast. It's not being built too big, it's not being built too small, it's built to accommodate the cattle in this area and the surrounding areas. So we currently feed and care for and sell around 10,000 head of cattle annually in our current operations. So we're already on track to fulfilling our per head per day goal of about 12,500 annually, which will be equate to about 50 head a day is what we'll be harvesting through that facility. So on an average, a human eats roughly 60 pounds of beef annually, some of us more, some of us less. But in our operation, we're actually pretty small. It sounds like a lot, but we'll be raising, growing, and harvesting enough beef to feed around 300,000 people annually their protein needs with this processing plant. So another major important factor is to stay small enough to not try to compete with the 4 major packers, which some of you have probably heard about across the U.S. They're also known as the meat cartel. We're targeting a niche market, selling the story of a family-owned and operated ranch, promoting local dry-aged beef. Dry aging means that the beef will hang in a cooler for about 10 to 14 days, like the old days, but before it's cut into steaks, instead of going from hoof to package in 7 minutes, like they do in the major packing plants, which is insane. You should tour one. It's crazy, but it feeds the world, so it's important. So we'll be asking a premium for our products. Another obstacle that many of us business owners are running into nowadays is staffing issues. So we are extremely excited, probably me more than my husband. Sorry he can't be here tonight, but to partner with Oregon Corrections Enterprises in a training and rehabilitation program for AICs, which means adults in corrections. We plan to have anywhere from between 10 to 15 AICs working in the plant each day. They come to work with guards from the Department of Corrections. I guess I'm probably more passionate about it than my husband because I just believe in second chances for people. So It's we're required to pay them prevailing wage, and that prevailing wage will actually go into an account for them to have that they have access to part of that money when they get out, and the other part of that money will pay like past fines or child support or restitution. So you can see how this partnership not only benefits us and the inmates, the AICs, but it actually benefits a lot of other people that are in their lives. So the good thing about this Department of Corrections is the inmates that are there, the AICs that are there, have usually about 5 years or less on their term, so they kind of police themselves. This isn't something that hasn't been done before. We actually went to Kuna, Idaho with the Department of Corrections. They have about 100, they have a beef processing plant there called CS Beef Processing, and they have about 160 AICs employed there. And so we kind of researched it and made sure that it was something that we wanted to do here. And the Kuna plant said that they basically police themselves because they have 5 years or less on their sentence. And they only had one instance where one inmate picked up some tobacco in the break room or something and took it back to the prison. So it's a pretty, hopefully a solid deal. They come with guards also, so everything will be very well watched and protected. We will actually also offer to rehire these inmates upon release and offer them housing if they're skilled at their job and they like what they do. I feel it's very important to give these guys a second chance, like I said, and one of the big things about upon release, is finding a job and having money. And so the fact that they'll have money in their account, a job, and a house, they'll have a fighting chance. So. The training and rehabilitation program has been proven to be hugely successful in reentry of these AICs into society upon release. The statistics showing of reoffending is almost non-existent in most cases because they do come out of being incarcerated with a skill and a job and money. So care and consideration was taken into the designing of our beef processing plant to incorporate these AICs. We have doors on the sides of the buildings where the AICs will enter. The whole plant will have the ability to be locked down if need be. Lots of cameras, lights. We asked our local Department of Corrections to play a huge part in the design of this facility and the layout of all the logistics to keep everybody safe, not just in the plant, but the community also. So the entire plant will employ about 59 people for the first 3 years, and then 70 employees after the 3-year mark when we're able to ramp up our production. We want to start at 50 head per day, but our goal is to get to 200 a day. And I don't think we'll go over that because we don't want to be the meat cartel or even go there. So we want to fly under the radar. We've been approved through Jefferson County with zoning requirements because we are performing an activity in conjunction with farm use on high-value farm ground. Some of the complaints, which there wasn't very many, thankfully, but some of the complaints were like people saying, oh, we didn't get to vote on this. Well, it is an activity in conjunction with farm use, so it is approved on the land that we are going to be putting it on, and it will be 5 miles out of town. So the Oregon Department of Agriculture has given us approval to extend our current feed yard to accommodate more cattle on feed year-round, as well as issuing permits for wastewater lagoons and animal waste management. They're very excited to see this project take off because we will be the only plant of this size in Oregon for local cattle ranchers to have access to, including ourselves. There are no other plants like this throughout the state, so if you're in the cattle business, right now, currently, you have to travel to Washington or California to get a substantial amount of cattle processed. We only have very small mom and pop shops in this area that do like 10 head a week, so our 50 head a day will be very beneficial to a lot of people besides just us. We've got the blessing and approval, thank the Lord, through DEQ to build this plant. They came out and surveyed our property, found out that our wastewater and runoff water will not enter or contaminate the surface waters of the United States. So permits were not needed, actually, through DEQ. They're also very excited about having local beef available soon to purchase through stores and meat markets. We've also been working with EDCO and SBDC, Jen Gould's Small Business Development Center, Business Oregon with Cappy, EDCO's John and Brenna, Ben, and all sorts of people on this project. Thankfully, all of these agencies have been incredibly helpful and fully on board. I think we all agree that local food security is incredibly important, especially in today's day and age, and clean food security. At this phase of the project, we are openly and actively pursuing financing options for a portion of this project and searching for any available grant opportunities to help lessen this large financial risk involved in starting a business of this size. We are open to any and all ideas and thoughts. Thanks for having me. That's probably more than 5 minutes, but I talked a lot slower than I normally do.
Oh, so you did great.
Feel free to ask questions.
You did great.
Thank you.
Okay, so my first question is, what's your favorite cut of beef?
Actually, it's in New York.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, New York
I think we probably have a lot of New York strips fans.
And I promise mine will be the best.
Yeah, I believe it. I do believe it. I do want to take some questions from the audience. Does anybody have questions for JoHanna? I always have a couple, but if anyone has any, yes, right here. Yeah, she wants to hear a little bit more about the nonprofit and some of the things that you're doing for the community.
Oh boy, how much time do we have?
You can micro machine it.
Right, okay. Yeah. That's another thing that I'm extremely passionate about, because we named our nonprofit Perfect Balance USA because we understand that there absolutely must be a perfect balance in the ecosystems with wildlife, endangered species. You can't tip the scale so far one way and throw off a balance where it doesn't hinder something on the other side. So in 2016, when this area and the Deschutes Basin basically was dictated, I hate to use the word dictated, but we got involved in what's called the Deschutes Basin Habitat Conservation Plan, and the Fish and Wildlife Service decided that our water here, where our water right comes from in Jefferson County, which is out of Wickiup Reservoir, the majority of that water over the course of 30 years will need to be released into the Deschutes River over the winter months to benefit the threatened endangered Oregon spotted frog. So it's a 30-year plan. It goes in 7-year increments. Right now we're releasing, I don't know how many, it's roughly 50,000 acre feet out of our reservoir in the winter months. Our reservoir holds 200,000 acre feet. By 2028, we will be required to release to the upwards of 140,000 acre feet of water out of that reservoir into the Deschutes River from September to March every year. So since it's a 200,000 acre foot reservoir, 150,000 acre feet is kind of a lot of water. So we advocate for a seat at the table to find a common sense, balanced approach where we can save these ecosystems, we can save frogs, we can save farmers. If there's a common sense table and there's people around it that don't have hidden agendas or quiet agendas or personal agendas or want to try to deepen their pockets, whatever, we really need to have a common sense approach where everything can thrive, everything can win, and you just can't have one-sided arguments. So we advocate for a perfect balance because of that, and everything's here for a reason. God gave us all of these things for a reason. We need absolutely everything, and we want a seat at the table, and we're hoping as this time goes by that we can maybe get this situation fixed where we can find a better balance. So, and we've got a lot of things in the makings, which we're extremely excited here in the next year to just shed light on, and I'm sure everybody will find out about it sooner than later. So,
ooh, a teaser. I like it. That's a great question. Thank you. Do I have other questions for JoHanna? Yes, right here.
So if I understood right, your capacity is greater than actually like what you have, which is going to benefit a lot of other local farms. Do you have an idea of how many like local, like other farms and farmers would be able to?
Yeah, this was my question too. Thanks, Trevor. So he said you're coming in, you have a bigger capacity than what you'll actually be processing, and he wants to know if you have a sense of like other farms, local ranchers that will be participating using your facility. Have you gotten to that stage yet?
So that's a great question. The thing about that is there's never been a facility like this in this area. So there's been a lot of people coming to us saying that they will now want to, so quote unquote, finish beef to where they take it to the size that it needs to get to in order to go through a harvesting and processing facility. But they weren't currently doing that because it wasn't an option to be able to do that in this area. So now that this will be here, yes, I've probably gotten 100 calls, honestly, about people that are very interested in doing it and marketing local beef to different restaurants and stores and things under their own ranch name. And I also should be very clear about that too. We're not going to do that the minute we open because, for lack of a better term, we'd really like to mess up on all of our own animals, or lack of a better way to, before we incorporate other people's animals into the system and process. We really want to get our processes down pat first, and our system and our employees and our staffing and our training. So yeah, eventually there will probably be 1 or 2 days a week where we incorporate other people's animals. But I don't have a number on that because it just hasn't been an option or an opportunity in this area for other cattle ranchers.
Well, it is such an interesting part of this because as much as like so many people eat beef, a lot of people don't really understand the background of what it takes to get it from the field to the plate. And so this is really something like if you have friends or you know people who do this, it has been a conversation for years and years and years. So it feels like a really big kind of jump forward,
right?
For
Exactly.
us. Yeah.
We do, and that's another thing that we use Perfect Balance USA, our nonprofit, for, is we do probably, I just did one yesterday. I got asked to do one next week. This time of year it's really busy, but we do actually on-farm and feedlot and ranch tours. We bring kids out. We bring kids from kindergarten to college. We've had EDCO out. We've had Oregon Department of Ag out. We show people our systems and our processes and why we do what we do, why we want to make the cleanest beef available. We show them the feed we feed our animals and that we can eat that feed as humans. So of course it can go into our animals and be safe, and then we can eat the meat that comes from that. We teach people about all the things that come from beef besides just meat and milk. I mean, even beef products are in your phone screen, so you're not vegan. I mean,
I think you just blew some minds.
Yeah,
I'm like, my phone is made of beef.
Yeah.
Wow.
I could stand up here and talk forever, but
yeah.
Yeah.
You've got all kinds of stuff going in the nooks and crannies of that brain. Wow. Well, this is incredible. And I hope that once you get up and running and you get your processes kind of locked down, you'll come and give us an update. Thanks
Absolutely.
so much,
Thank
JoHanna.
you.
This
Thanks
is awesome.
for having me. I appreciate it, you guys.